the water efficiency. I'm the water efficiency lead here at Denver Water. Traditionally, water efficiency or conservation has been a lot of technical assistance and rebate programs, and just kind of trying to find customers and meet them where they're at and help them on the journey of water conservation. So today I'm going to go over who Denver Water is, why we're committed to conservation, and then we'll jump into water efficiency for commercial customers, and we'll really go through a lot of materials provided by the EPA Water Sense at Work program. And they provide a wonderful framework that allows water managers to kind of do self-assessments. And then we'll also kind of go through water use monitoring and how that really fits into the holistic look at each individual building. For participants that are on, if you could put in the chat kind of what size business or commercial building that you represent, that'd be helpful. I'll try to take a look at those and tailor some of my comments directly to those. And then from there, we'll jump over to the actual incentives that Denver Water offers. And they'll kind of be indoor, specific commercial appliances and mechanical equipment. And then our new programs around landscape conversion, and then what we do for new development. And then if you find that our offerings aren't quite right for what you're looking for, I'll try to mention a couple other funding sources, and then leave plenty of time at the end for any questions, comments, or thoughts that anyone has. So who is Denver Water? We are separate from the city and county of Denver, although we are part of the city and county's charter. They give us the right as a water utility to serve water to both the Denver, or to city and county of Denver, but also a lot of the larger metro area. So the map at the right shows all of the areas that we provide water to. Everything in orange, that's your traditional city and county of Denver boundary. And then in the blues, those are what we call our read and bill and total service customers. So they receive bills that look like Denver Water, but they often have their own water districts that take care of the pipes in the ground, and have an additional role on there. And then in green is what we call our fixed contract customers, or actually, sorry, those are our master meter customers. And we sell whole purified potable water to those areas, and then they take care of everything from metering to the pipes in the ground and getting that to the final customers. And then the last, sorry, this is jumping back and forth for me here. Is everybody seeing this all right, or is it jumping around for everyone as well?
Austin, it looks like you're back to that Denver Water slide.
Okay.
But yes, it was jumping around for a minute.
Okay. Just trying to make sure that I'm seeing the right one here. Hopefully we're back here. And then everything in that kind of...
Go ahead. Gerardo, is everything looking good?
Yeah, everything looks fine. It's on the slide with the map. Is that
okay?
Is that
great.
Awesome?
Yeah. Yep. And then everything in brown is what we called our fixed contracts, and we sell raw water to those, and they push that raw water into their own treatment facilities. So you can think of Denver Water as a supply source or a source supplier of water. We don't touch any of the stormwater or the water treatment. That is done by City and County of Denver largely for stormwater, and all of the wastewater gets conveyed to Metro Water Recovery, which is kind of the north part of our service area. And that is kind of a metro-wide agreement. They treat all the wastewater and make sure that it's clean enough to discharge back into the South Platte. We also serve recycled water or reclaimed water. Our primary customers for that are Denver Parks and Rec, and then also some other large irrigators or users of water. So why do we conserve? Denver gets about half of its water from outside of uh, the Front Range. So we bring water over from the west slope, anything that would naturally flow to the Pacific Ocean provides about half of that. That is stored primarily in Lake Dillon up in Summit County. That makes up about half of our supplies. So we are a part of a larger system. We're part of the Colorado River Basin, even though the water that we have here in Denver doesn't flow to the Pacific. And all of our actions that we have up here in the headwaters impact everybody downstream from us. So we're part of this larger system of Lake Powell and Lake Mead, and making sure that we have the right water resources that we can deliver to our downstream lower basin users. Every year we have to the upper basin, which is Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, and New Mexico, needs to deliver at least 7.5 million acre feet of water to the lower basin states. And that is something that has been kind of around since 1922, Colorado River Compact, and it's very difficult to renegotiate any of those agreements. As we can kind of see, Lake Mead and Lake Powell have been at historic lows recently. So every municipal user along the system is trying to do its part to make sure that we have enough water for our municipal communities and also for our businesses and agricultural uses. A few things that I like to show here, the last two major droughts that we really had, 2002, we were in a stage 2 drought. We've never hit the Denver Water Strategic Water Reserve, which puts us into a stage 3 or water rationing, where we say no more outdoor water use, things like that. 2013, we were trending below 2002, so we moved out of drought watch to drought stage 1. Fortunately, right at the time when this was being looked at and shared pretty widely, we got feet and feet of snow in our collection system, and it was enough to bounce us back. And we stayed in drought watch for a really long time, but we were able to back off of restrictions and things like that. Denver Water, as a water utility, has really senior water rights, really good water rights, and we are not expanding the same way that a lot of other water providers along the Colorado Front Range are. So we don't have quite the same supply issues that some of these other water providers have, but climate change could also impact our supplies greatly. So conservation and efficiency are the best ways to make sure what we have now works well. And this just kind of goes into, we had a great, pretty wet water year, which runs October to September 31. But it's still not enough. We've only recovered Lake Mead and Lake Powell to about 35, 39%, somewhere in that range. So there's still a long way to go in these major buckets that supply the Colorado River and all the municipal users. So in 2022, all of the municipal water providers, or the major municipal water providers along the Colorado River, got together and signed a memorandum of understanding that basically said 3 major things. Everyone would continue and expand their existing indoor and outdoor water efficiency and conservation programs, introduce new programs that reduce the quantity of non-functional turf by about 30%, and then increase water reuse and recycled water wherever that's feasible. And why this was so important is Denver Water has had a very successful long-running conservation program, but over the last few years, we've met all of the goals that we set out for ourselves, and we've kind of trailed away, and we have a lot of other capital spending going on right now to remove lead service lines that are customer-owned ones. And we're really looking for kind of that recommitment to conservation so that we can take our programs and build them back out and give meaningful rebates and technical assistance, especially on the commercial side. So while we might not have everything in place today, that is coming, and I'll try to connect some of those dots as we go through this. So some of the major points of contact, anytime you contact Denver Water, our normal customer care representatives, 303-893-244. That is a great starting place. Our representatives know so much about our system, and they can find the right contact and direct you the right way. So when you call that number, you if you're a very large user, you'll probably be directed to key account representatives. So that's like XL Energy, Denver Housing Authority, Denver Public Schools, City and County of Denver. And then the other main one that kind of touched on in this presentation is our rebates team. So for commercial rebates, if your rebate is under $2,500, that will just go through the normal process, pretty easy. If it's more than that, it needs pre-approval, and that pre-approval comes directly to me. So my number is down here at the bottom, 303-628-6838. Right now, pre-approval is pretty easy. I check our overall rebates budget, and I haven't had to turn anyone away in about 4 or 5 years, which is great. But the only case where I do turn away people is when we don't have enough money in our budget to pay out the entire rebate. And what we try to do is say, let's save that for next year, reapply right in early January, and we'll have plenty of budget to take care of that rebate. So Denver Health just went through that process, and I think they've replaced 600 toilets and are doing some irrigation control work, and they are getting a rebate back for about $85,000, which is great to see. And I love having customers use our programs. That is why they're there. So EPA Water Sense at Work. This is kind of the larger framework of commercial self-assessment, why commercial buildings should be doing work on water efficiency and conservation. And what we see here is it's kind of broken out into a couple of major sectors of water use. This graph on the bottom has hospitals, office buildings, schools, restaurants, and hotels. And there are certainly more categories within that, or subcategories within each of these. But the point that I really want to convey here is each building type or classification system has a different kind of water use makeup or portfolio or places where the water goes within the buildings, depending on what's present there. So everybody should kind of look at their own business and make the business case of where can we achieve these cost savings. If we do invest in conservation and efficiency, that will increase our competitive advantage. More of the money comes to our bottom line instead of going out to operating costs. It's a very good way to demonstrate leadership within sustainability realm and meet a lot of the ESG goals that companies put out for themselves. And it's also a place or a way to access additional funding opportunities. Making commitments to green building can open you up to property assessed clean energy service companies, or state of Colorado grants, which can be great additional funding sources if our traditional rebates don't quite work for what you're looking for. So from there, kind of the next step of the process after you make that business case is make a commitment, and that can come from any level within the organization. Typically, companies that I work with, I see that either as a top-down commitment coming from sustainability team internally, or the CEO trying to improve bottom line, or even facilities managers that kind of see and work with this stuff every day and say, we know that we're just wasting money by flushing these old toilets every day. Can we make a push to upgrade our equipment so I'm not fixing the same leaks over and over again, things like that. So after that commitment is made, what you need to really do is jump in and assess your facility or your campus water use. And where do you do that? A good place to start is kind of that monthly bill or bills. If you're running a campus, you might have many water bills that come in all at the same time. A great thing to do is kind of gather those all up and either do a water budget or a water balance, and really start looking at, do I have certain meters within my system that are higher than I think they should be, or is irrigation way higher than what we should have for our landscape and things like that. So the water bill kind of breaks out where the water is used, which tier it is. Tiers on a water bill, typically your baseline use or your indoor use is going to be your lowest tier. From there, efficient process water, so cooling towers, and irrigation would be your second tier. And then Denver Water right now only has 3 tiers. This is just an example bill. But that third tier is kind of your excessive water use or using too much for a building of your size or class or things like that. From there, set and communicate your goals. So we want to save 10% over our baseline use over the next year. A way to look at that is look at your winter consumption. Create your action plan and say, all right, year 1, we want to save 10%. Year 2, we want to increase and bump that up another 5%. And what we think we'll save on that will be more revenue, and that we should lower our overall operating costs by 15% as well going forward. And then this is a really important one. Check in at regular intervals. That can be monthly, that can be quarterly, that can be yearly, but make sure you're doing those check-ins and communicating over and over again of here's where we are. If we're on track, that's great. Give yourself a pat on the back. If you're not on track, that's all right as well. It's that recommitment of here's where we thought we would be. Why aren't we here? And how do we move from where we currently are to get the savings that we need? And then if you have champions within the group, make sure they are recognized. So if it's your facilities management team that is doing all the work, recognize them for doing that work. If it is a sustainability team or certain employees that are kind of spearheading the charge and gathering information and bringing in myself or others, make sure they're recognized for that as well. It goes a long way to keep a project on track and really kind of helps shepherd water savings throughout the entire organization. So here's another example of assessing water use. This is a school. At the bottom, you can kind of see a water budget, and they are exceeding their water budget over and over again, especially in those kind of baseline months, January, February, and March. And for this particular school, they had done all the work, they'd set their budget, and they couldn't figure out why they were having all of these high bills. They kept with it, they kept checking, and then finally it became pretty apparent they developed a giant sinkhole in their parking lot. And what it was a major water leak that was going on for many months underneath the parking lot, and it couldn't be seen. It was after the tap, so where they get the water from the main line, but before it ever hit the building. So it was just kind of pouring into the ground, eroding all the soil underneath, compacting it, and finally the concrete gave out. So that was a pretty big shock for them, but they were relieved that they had found that. They quickly addressed it, fixed the major service line leak, and from there, they reached out to Denver Water and said, all right, we found our leak. What can we do? So this is kind of a sidebar. If you suspect a leak, you can call Denver Water Customer Contact Center. They can schedule a check for constant flow or leak investigation. And basically what that does, our techs come out, they look in the meter pit, usually at a time of day when you shouldn't be having any sort of water use. For a school, that would be after hours, something like that. They would see if that meter is holding, meaning not continually running. And if it is holding, that's a great sign. It means you don't have a regularly occurring leak. If the meter continues to spin at all times, it means there's actively a leak somewhere from there. From there, our field team will either try to continue to investigate the leak and check off major sources. But as soon as the leak is found, we kind of push that back over to the owner or operator, and they need to have that taken care of if it's on their side of the system. If it's on the Denver Water main or before it hits the meter, that is ours, and we take care of that. And we're pretty good about getting that corrected quickly. But after you do find a leak, we have a leak adjustment request form. So in the case of the school, they were using over 2 million gallons per month. And once they were finally able to track down that leak and correct it, we were willing to give them back the money they spent on all of this water to kind of thank them for taking care of the system and making sure that it doesn't continue. This one was a particularly hard one, again, because it was underground and we didn't see it and we couldn't find it. But once that was corrected, we were more than willing to help them out and kind of absolve them from some of that high water use. To jump back over to kind of methodology of EPA water sense at work, there are a lot of tools to assess specific fixtures or processes within business. Some of this is water monitoring technology, and there's a couple different ways to do that. There are companies in the marketplace, water demand management and irrigation analysis, and a couple others similar to that will come with data loggers and external ultrasonic pipe monitors that go on the outside of pipes. Traditionally, they have to be copper pipes with a certain thickness. And what this does is reads that for a specific amount of time. You can do it for, like, say you're brewing beer, you can do an entire run of a batch and figure out how much water is going through the system at certain points, and make sure that everything, you're not seeing any leaks, things like that. And that will help you set a baseline for specific processes. You can also get some of this information through advanced metering infrastructure, or AMI. And this is kind of the newest types of meters that are on the market right now. And what these do is just give you very close to real-time water use data. This is in place of the traditional meters that Denver Water has in the ground. And we use these pretty significantly in areas that are really hard to read, or buildings that have meter vaults or meters in their basement that we can't get access to. We use them all through the Denver International Airport system, because all of that is behind secure gates and things like that. So it takes a lot for our meter readers to get out there. Or we can put on AMI meters and get this next to real-time data that is sent back to us at 5-minute intervals or 15-minute intervals. And these are great because you can also take that data and run individual processes and kind of go through your entire commercial system that way, to set baselines for any specific process that you're interested in. A third option is submetering, and this can be very similar to the external pipe data loggers that I had, or they can be inline, meaning that a piece of the pipe is cut out, a new meter is put in there. But typically submetering are very similar to AMI in that they provide almost next to real-time data. Some of them do 15-minute intervals, some of them do 1-hour intervals. But this is great for building owners that have multiple tenants. You can put one on each tenant's water supply line that goes into their area. And this allows them to see their actual water use, and you as an owner to charge the true cost of water, so that you don't have certain tenants subsidizing other tenants or not being charged fairly. So a couple other tools that are out there. One of these is great. This is the Brendel Group's tool. It's called the Water Assessment Tool, and it was sponsored by EPA WaterSense, and is kind of a part of the Water Sense at Work suite of offerings that they have. But this was developed right up in Fort Collins, so pretty good front range focus on that, and it goes step by step with instructions. It really gets into the energy water nexus. So if you spend a lot on heated water, it shows. If you upgrade from an old hot water heater to some new efficient hot water heater, how much money you'll save both on the water side and on the energy side. But right now there is a lot of new focus on commercial water assessment again, and the city of Greeley and some partners up in northern Colorado are developing a grant that will go to the Colorado Water Conservation Board for funding soon. So they want to update a lot of these self-assessment tools, make them more into web-based decision support tools, so that you're not going through a manual or kind of a older clunky Excel file, things like that, but something that can be done online and tracked over time. So that new grant proposal will get underway probably 2024, and there's lots of opportunities for businesses to be involved. So again, you can reach out to myself or look for advertisements from Denver Water to be involved with that. And kind of the last on the water assessment side is, again, hire a third-party contractor to really dive into your systems and conduct that assessment for you. I find that's a lot more common on the irrigation side, where your major system contributing to high bills is your irrigation system. So you get guys out there that go through every zone, look for tilted or broken heads, things like that. Make sure that your watering times are correct. That can be a really great way to bring down water use. But again, if you have certain industrial processes on the inside, this is a good route to go. So at a large scale, I know there's a lot of different building types represented here. My biggest thing is why we run the programs we do. We're always trying to achieve the best return on investment as possible. And one thing that is pretty common across the board, as you can see in that same chart again, is indoor water use is making up anywhere from, I don't know, about 30 to 45% of total water use within commercial and institutional facilities. So what does that mean? That means some of our best targets are some of our easiest ones. Toilet retrofits, urinal retrofits, and sink fixtures are a great place to start and really help bring down your amount of water that's going to indoor uses. Specifically for restaurants, you can kind of see that's a little bit different. So in restaurants, the biggest water use is your pre-rinse spray valves and your commercial warewashing equipment. And that makes sense. Your job is to be there serving food and turning over customers as quickly as possible. So you do devote a lot of water to both food prep and then cleaning those dishes. And for restaurants specifically, pre-rinse spray valves are the best solution out there. Just making sure that you have a lower flow spray rinse or pre-rinse spray valve can save you tons of water over time and really help that bottom line. And then kind of like in hospitals, there's so many different uses. If your cooling tower is using a lot, that is a good place to submeter and really kind of identify what are those biggest processes. And then the last one is outdoor water use here in Denver across our entire service area. About half of our water use is used for outdoor landscapes. So that's a 6-month period from about April 15th through October 15th. Half the water is just going outside, going into the ground. And that's great if that space is used. But if it's just kind of decorative landscape, we can do better than that. And there are plenty of landscapes that are interesting, provide pollinator, stormwater, environmental benefits. And it doesn't need to be Kentucky bluegrass. If you have kind of like company areas that people love to picnic, that's a great place for turf grass. And we're not on an all-out war on turf, but we want to make sure that you're kind of self-reflecting and making sure that what you have is working for you still. And if the needs have changed over time, make sure your current landscape reflects that. Cooling tower management, that's the last one I have up there. We used to have a pretty robust cooling tower program. The marketplace for cooling towers has jumped onto that, and basically everything in the marketplace has a better return on investment than the incentives that we were offering, and they do a better job selling them than we could ever do. So that one is kind of back into the private sector, but cooling tower management, really making sure you're maximizing your cycles of concentration and minimizing your potable water that is refilling those systems is critical for long-term success. So our commercial incentives on new properties or new development, if we have any developers on the call today, we have a program right now that is a pilot that is moving to a full-blown program. And we call this our Water Efficiency System Development Credit. System development credit or system development fees are our traditional tap fees. So anytime you come onto the system for the first time, we will offer up to 20% back if you do all of the parameters that I have on the board here. So it's putting in the most efficient fixtures. And then on the outdoor side, it's making sure that that landscape is designed to use less than 10 gallons per square foot of irrigable area per irrigation season. And that is about half of traditional Kentucky bluegrass. And what we've been really surprised and encouraged by is every property that has participated in this program has had no problem meeting that less than 10 gallons per square foot. A lot of them still have traditional Kentucky bluegrass areas, but they've been very, very thoughtful about where those go and how those kind of serve as community gathering spaces that everybody can use, and then really doing a great job of putting in highly efficient landscapes that surround those areas, that are very close to the native habitats that were here before human settlement. On the commercial incentives, here's where we give all of our money out. We'll give $100 for UHETs, which is ultra high efficiency toilets. That's a certain designation by EPA WaterSense. I have a little note, just get the 0.8 gallon flush toilets. They work well. They all are highly reviewed. They have high MAP ratings, which means how much volume of waste they can flush in any one go. They outperform a lot of the dual flush toilets and things like that. So if there's a recommendation that I give constantly, it's just get the 0.8 flush toilet. They work great. High efficiency urinals or waterless urinals, those are 1.25 gallons or less. Flushometer, bowl and valves, these are your traditional commercial valves that you see in restrooms, and up to 125 for those. Other equipment, so in multifamily settings or laundromats, coin card operated laundry equipment, up to 150 back on that. We do not do a traditional washing machine rebate anymore because we surveyed our population and we found more than 95% of our customers would have bought the same washing machine regardless of the water efficiency rating on it. So that was kind of a program that was seeing so many free riders. There was not real value for Denver Water to operate that anymore, and it's better to push that money to other programs. Commercial warewashing equipment specifically for restaurants, that's $300 per dishwasher or warewasher. And then submeters, $40 per submeter. One thing to note on submeters, we also include master valves and flow sensors on the irrigation side as submeters. So if you ever put any of that technology in to limit irrigation, there's opportunity to get $40 back on that under our submeter rebate. Denver Water outdoor efficiency. So we have a lot of programs that are designed for kind of either very big commercial settings or small commercial, and residential is very similar. So EPA WaterSense smart clocks, will rebate for those. I believe those are at $75 per smart clock right now, or irrigation control. Nozzle rebates, $3 per high efficiency nozzle. And then we do a lot of partnerships with Resource Central. So if you're HOA manager, things like that, we run a slow the flow program, which they will audit your landscape and all of your irrigation components and show you where to focus on improving your system. For commercial programs, we are redeveloping an informational water budget report. So that gives you a target of what Denver Water thinks you should use based on kind of your where you sit within a commercial property, kind of those different sectors, and then based on how much outdoor landscape that you have. WaterSense labeled smart irrigation controllers. On the commercial side, you will receive 25% of the total cost of those controllers. That does not include install or housing or things like that that need to protect those controllers. Efficient sprinkler nozzle rebate is the same as residential and small commercial, $3 per head. And then the submeter and flow sensor rebate that was mentioned earlier. And then landscape incentives, these are in development as a part of our commitment to the Colorado River Memorandum and Understanding. Our new landscape program is likely going to be 50 cents per square foot of converted landscape. That is much lower than some of the other areas around Metro Denver. But what we're looking to do is convert very large landscapes we just partnered with the city and county of Denver to do the entire Quebec medians area in front of where the old Stapleton Airport used to be. So this is 10 acres of large medians. It was traditional turf grass that had no real value, used about 9 million gallons per year. And that entire project came in for about 70 cents per square foot, which is incredible. So they got a lot of money back from Denver Water and also from the Colorado Water Conservation Board to take care of that. One of our program partners that we work a lot with is Resource Central. So I'm just going to go over a couple of their offerings so you know they exist. There's Garden in a Box. So this is a plant by numbers, do it yourself sort of landscape conversion program. Slow the Flow, this is where their techs come through. They look at your watering schedules. They look at all of your individual irrigation zones and make sure that everything is operating as efficiently as possible. And if it's not, they give you specific recommendations of what to take care of and how to do that in a timely and cost-effective manner. Lawn removal, we would like to partner with them. This works at a small scale. I would say up to about 1,000 square feet is what you're looking at, and they will come in with a turf cutter and basically make sod rolls just like you see at the commercial turf farms. This program's great. It gives you kind of a clean slate if you want to convert to native grass or xeric perennials, low water perennials, things like that. And I think this one, we will kind of do a cost sharing. So Denver Water would pay about half of that. Turf removal customer would pay the other half on that one. So outdoor water efficiency, already went over this. 50% of total water goes outside. Denver Water coined the term zero-scape many years ago. We're trying to move away from that because too many people say zero-scape, and we're in alignment with City and County of Denver, Parks and Rec, that we want to see water-wise, climate-resilient landscapes, not rocks, not astroturf, but things that contribute to our community, help with dissipating the urban heat island, things like that. So we're very much in alignment with our partners over at City and County, but we're trying to transition to new terms like sustainable landscapes, climate resilient landscapes, Colorado scapes, or water-wise landscapes. And then kind of the last funding, sorry, I'm a little long-winded today. Last area of focus, if our funding sources aren't quite right for you, some other places that water conservation can be brought up and really help contribute to the bottom line is through energy service companies or ESCOs. So a lot of these companies will come in and do certain systems, like they'll propose a lighting upgrade or mechanical equipment that moves you off of natural gas over to electricity, and they pay themselves back on the money that you are saving. But water efficiency, especially toilet rebates, can also be done at that same time and really helps. These ESCOs really help with decreasing operating costs over the long run and arranging financing for projects. Another one that's kind of similar is CPACE, or Colorado Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy. And that can finance up to 100% of energy efficiency, renewable energy, and water conservation improvements. And the repayment terms can be up to 25 years, which is great for building owners and operators, especially institutional settings that are going to hold on to buildings or properties for a really long time. And then the last one is Colorado Water Conservation Board State Revolving Fund grants. These are great for large landscape conversions. And if you're interested in going this route, Denver Water is always happy to kind of talk you through the process of applying for these grant programs, writing letters of support, things like that, and then really helping maximize dollars received from the Colorado Water Conservation Board to get your program or your project up and running. So that's kind of the end of my presentation. I am happy to take any questions or comments or feedback that anyone might have at this point.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I guess we'll give everyone the chance to ask any questions just in case anybody has any lingering questions for Austin. Austin, I did have a question. Do you encounter a lot of businesses that share their water use that are not sub-metered?
We do, unfortunately. So Denver Water has been around for a really long time, and kind of how we developed over time has set some things in motion. But traditional multi-level commercial office towers, things like that, where there's a lot of tenant sublease space, we still see a lot of either that's built into the monthly rent, or it's just not even really a factor that the owner considers. Um, with a lot more new development where you see kind of like first floor retail or business opportunities, and then multi-family or multi-resident above that. Um, from a building owner operator's standpoint, they've done a lot better job of putting in multiple meters in the beginning. So that's actually Denver Water receiving those. And then everything that's older, but kind of that same realm, that's where we see a lot more sub-meter and things like that.
That's good. And as a reminder, if anybody in the audience has any questions or would like to get connected to people just like Austin that can help your business out, please reach out to Certified Green Denver and we can connect you to the right person when it comes to any of your utilities or water use.
I got one question on, should rebate applications be submitted online, or is it best to call a customer line? I'd say it's best to probably start online and try to figure out how much money you think you might receive. So if you're rebating 100 toilets, absolutely start by contacting me for a pre-approval process. I'll help you run through that to estimate how much you would save, and then I'll make our rebates team aware that it's coming in and how we fill that out. If it's below that, definitely just submit it online, and our rebate process will automatically kind of walk you through what is needed, how to tie that back to your Denver Water account, and then even checking off whether that's a credit to your bill or if that is a check that goes out to whoever's doing the work on your behalf.
Right. Thank you, Corey, for putting Austin's email in the chat. And if we don't have any more questions, we can give you all 10 minutes back of your Thursday morning. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Austin. I'm sure somebody would really appreciate knowing some of your presentation.
Absolutely. Thanks for hosting Denver Water today, and let's be in contact about any ways we can support Certifiably Green going forward.
Definitely. All right. Well, everyone have a good rest of your week.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.